Everyone at Mass Academy knows what Walden is. The 1854 book highlights the importance of moving out, trying new things, and living the simpler life. The level of introspection is perfect for incoming students of the Academy. Or is it? Today we're going to get a full scoop of opinions on Walden from our very own student body at MAMS. Let's begin. Let's go talk to the students. I'm going to say a word, and I would like you to let out any feelings regarding it.
Okay.
Walden.
Pain. Alright, a lot of pain.
Hatred. Just it's a lot.
Walden. So, reading this book during the summer was definitely a challenge for me because it was like a lot at once, and it was hard to get through a lot of what Thoreau wrote because he kind of just blurted a bunch of words on paper.
Lots of mysterious, the way Thoreau describes it, it's the mysterious depths of the pond.
Fear. There's probably a little bit of just general despair surrounding that.
Bland.
Bland?
Yes, it was bland. A lot of the sections of it were just like he would just like elaborate on things that just like weren't meant to be elaborated on, like
Bad memories. Yeah.
Frustrated, but like it's also like interesting. I don't know how to word it.
Do you agree with the ideas presented in Walden, and why or why not?
Some of them, yeah. I think that, especially now in modern times, like, sometimes technology's gone a little too far, and we might benefit from taking a step back.
I think, well, overall, he's just trying to say, like, ooh, we should abandon society and be a hermit. And, like, I don't think that's very practical. Like, you can't just leave society. I mean, you could, but I don't know if that really helps you.
It's hard to know what the ideas are in Walden, I guess, because the writing is so convoluted and all jumpy all over the place.
So the first idea that like pops out to me is him not wanting to be taxed. I guess I get where he's coming from, and I guess he has the freedom of like the thought. I think for a government to run properly, there needs to be some sort of tax. And well, I like some of like the ideas of like freedom of thought, freedom of what you want to say, and stuff like that. I think that's definitely something that everyone needs to have the right to.
his tone was very superior sometimes. He wasn't just doing this. Yeah, sometimes I got the sense that he wasn't just doing this for the experiment. Like he intended to like, I don't know, like show that he was like better than everyone else almost.
I think in order to answer that question, you need to understand the ideas in Walden. And I don't think even Thoreau understood the ideas in Walden. He kind of talked around a lot of the points and ideas he did try to make. Some of them definitely had some significance and were somewhat relevant, but a majority of them were him blathering on.
I guess he's kind of promoting the idea of like, we're very connected in today's society. Sometimes you need to disconnect. And I think that is true. Sometimes you do need to disconnect, however that may look. Whether it be like just, it doesn't have to be a physical thing.
What do you think of Henry David Thoreau? Is he a genius or is he a misanthrope?
So I think he had a lot of like progressive ideas for his time, which is really cool. But I think he was a little funky, a little weird. He wanted to go out into the woods and live in a cabin, and I guess good for him. But I don't know how well it would work for other people.
I wouldn't say he's a genius.
I think the line between genius and insanity is very fine, and I think he towed that line a little too hard at many moments.
I think he's more of a misanthrope, maybe.
I'd say he's pretty genius. Like
Genius.
yeah, he was pretty smart for writing this kind of work.
See, I think it's a mix of both. I think he had a great idea in going out to the woods, and he's obviously a very well-educated person, but he kind of misled us the entire book. He's like, I'm living on my own, but he's having his mother do his laundry and cook him meals, and then he's going into town every day, but he's like secluded from all visitors at the same time.
Even though I said it was bland in the beginning, he didn't just keep it like a bland like joke. Like, he did talk about like a lot of different ideas, and like I was able to see like how being away from everyone else, like he wasn't away from everyone else all the time.
Yeah.
As we pointed out in our Walden skits, but I could see the effect that it was having on him.
Society wasn't made for people like Thoreau, I'd say. And he just did whatever he felt was best for his personality. While that might have put an unnecessary burden on some of his relatives, he didn't end up creating something that gives a unique perspective on the world.
I don't know how much he is a genius, because I feel like he kind of is somebody who's, his intentions were, oh, I hate society. I mean, he's like, I haven't fit into society, therefore I'm gonna live like this. But the thing is that some, I guess, of his actions might end up being something that we can try to emulate, even though that wasn't his original intention.
I know you're talking about Borndale, so how, if at all, did Borndale have an effect on your feelings regarding Walden?
That's a good question.
I think Borndale and the Walden skits in itself were a really good experience, and it kind of put like Walden in a different light, because Walden seems at first like super boring, just dense, but when you like actually delve a little bit deeper into it, it's a lot more fun, and you can make it fun, and you can make it more interesting, and you can get a lot of ideas and stories out of it as well.
Borndale was interesting. I think the skits particularly were very intriguing, and some of them were quite funny.
I can't say that the Borndale wilderness really impacted my view, although the sunrise, I think one day we all were together on the beach, and that was a nice moment that can be tied back to, the beauty of nature theme.
Think about if we had to do this kind of thing in our time period, how different it would be, and also how much harder it would be, because so much more of America is like colonized now. Like, yeah, and like everyone, I feel like I would crack within like max a couple of months. Like, yeah.
I don't think it really changed anything. I read Walden, I was like, okay, cool ideas, interesting delivery of said ideas. And then I went to Borndale and I was just like, okay, I'm in the summer camp, so I didn't really do much. I think Borndale more for me was just like bonding with classmates, getting to know people, than it was like connecting with Thoreau or anything.
I know there was a lot of talk about how it somewhat felt like Walden, I guess, which I didn't find true, but the skits that were presented that day, those skits were marvelous. They were fantastic, and I think they kind of talked about a lot of different perspectives that we didn't intentionally see right away, which was really cool.
It gave us something to talk about. We'd be like, oh my gosh, what was our summer reading? What just happened? And then we could like talk about it from there. It was a good conversation starter.
So, why does it matter that us MAMS students feel so strongly about this book? Well, I'll introduce you to the thoughts of the man who brought the book here. His name is Mr. Ludt, and he was the humanities teacher from 2005 to 2017. Walden was first introduced as the infamous summer assignment to juniors in the fall of 2006. When I asked Mr. Ludt about his choice of Walden, he said it came from prior experience teaching about it from a course entitled Death of the Individual in Literature at Marlborough High School. He said he picked it for several reasons, including its challenge, Thoreau's thoroughness, the similarities between MAMS and Walden Pond, and its ability to be turned into Borndale skits. When I asked him his opinion on Thoreau, Mr. Ludt offered a more holistic view of Thoreau. He said that Thoreau was neither genius nor misanthrope. He probably knew that he was not a good writer, yet he was a scholar and wanted to learn more about life. He partially went to Walden Pond to grieve over the loss of his brother. He is definitely more than what we portray him as today. Walden contains many messages, but Mr. Ludt said it was about the exploring of life and how to learn about it. Is there any advice you learned from reading Walden or Walden itself that you'd like to share?
Definitely break it up. I think it was pretty hefty text, with some chapters being super, super long and some being super, super short. So don't like procrastinate like me, do it all in one go. That was not ideal.
Don't be afraid to speak your mind, right? I think even though other people might judge you for what you're saying, you shouldn't take that to heart and be able to speak what you want to say because it's important and your voice is important.
Take notes and stuff as you're going through it because you're not going to remember half the stuff that like you talked about in earlier chapters. Like you're just not going to remember it.
I annotated this line. I never dreamed of any enormity greater than I have committed. I never knew and never shall know a worse man than myself. Thoreau acknowledges that he is a flawed man. I think it's important that we all do the same.
I think one thing is, as I said, the disconnect. Sometimes we do need to disconnect. You have two ends of the spectrum. One is like this hyper-connected society we live in today. The other is Thoreau. And we need to try to find somewhere in the middle. So I think, having Thoreau as one of those reference points is helpful in terms of trying to find the balance of we don't want to be super connected as we live currently, but so how can we try to gravitate towards that end, and I guess that's helpful. Yeah.
I think just like your true self is like you without the influence of society upon you. So like taking a step back from everyone else, being alone for a minute and just connecting with yourself and then finding yourself through that is important. I think we should all do that. Not like completely seclude yourself from others, but like, take a step back sometimes, like relax.
Yeah, I think being open with your life and like who you are as a person is important because while Thoreau didn't always come off with I'd say the best perspective on things, he was open with his ideas. I think that's something we should all share, and like sharing who we are and the experiences we go through is important.
What do you think the main message of Walden is?
I'd say Walden really contributes to the American narrative. So if you contextualize Walden in history, it's all about individualism and being yourself, whoever that may be.
I guess take your time with it, because maybe if you do slow down and you read it, you might be able to get more out of it.
My main takeaway was just like, this man's a little crazy. And then like when I got into class and we actually found out more about his life and that he was lying to us, I was like, okay, this guy's like really crazy. So Thoreau's crazy. Yeah, that's my takeaway.
You should be able to express your thoughts on whatever may concern you, and I think being able to like write a book about it and change your way of life to make it better is also something that you should be able to do.
I think it's sort of serves as a message for modern times because while it does feel like we're more connected than ever, sometimes we tend to get like lonely and not as connected as we were in the past when there was like less digital technology and stuff.
I am scared of Henry David Thoreau and I never want to be alive in the same time period as him.
The next time you think about your distaste for Walden, just know that you're correct. Yeah, I said that. However, Thoreau's idea of simple living and taking steps one at a time will inevitably come back to you. MAMS will never be the same place without Walden, and Walden will not be the same book without MAMS. So, that's it for this episode of Brickyard Beat. This is Thomas Park, signing off. That's it for this Brickyard editorial by Thomas Park.